Monken has been in the coaching cycle to be a head coach for years now. Multiple different situations where he's interviewed, where he's been in the conversation for a head coaching gig. And to this point, to see Monken get the Browns job, like, unfortunately, the way this feels to me is a one and done. Like this seems like a total miss by the Browns, that this is the fallback situation after all the other good coaches were off the board, that they land on Todd Monken, and it probably won't work out. And the Browns will be back in the same situation they were in just now, probably a year from now, because they misstepped here in this coaching hire.
Well, they weren't going to get anybody that was going to be a great coaching candidate. Like, we talked about this throughout the last few weeks. This is a horrible situation. There's one bright spot on this team. It's Myles Garrett, and it's some other pieces on defense. Like, you've got the Lamborghini, you've got the Ferrari that's parked out on the lawn in the trailer park. Like, that's what you've got. And other than that, you have a horrible situation at quarterback. You've got Deshaun Watson, who you don't know what he's going to be. He's got a horrible contract situation that you can't really get out of for another year or so. And unless you just want to eat the money, which you might have to convince ownership to do at some point. But even if he comes back and plays this year, you don't know what you're getting out of him. So if he comes back and plays for a certain amount of time, he's bound to get injured because he just hasn't played a substantial amount of football in the last couple of years. You've got Dylan Gabriel, who we don't know what he can be. And then you've got the Shedeur Sanders show. Think of him what you want. He played 8 games last year, and he threw 10 interceptions and 7 touchdowns. He threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns. He played in more games than he threw touchdowns. So I don't really think he's going to be a very good quarterback for some time. He could develop into a good quarterback. And Todd Monken has had success with quarterbacks. He had a good offense when he was with the Ravens. They were top 5 in offense. They lacked last year just because that, Lamar Jackson was injured, but some of that maybe had to do with Lamar Jackson, and some of that had to do with the kind of system that Todd Monken was running with Lamar Jackson and getting him hurt and running him a lot at times. So I think this is a guy that you said, point A to point B, not a long-term head coach for the Cleveland Browns. But honestly, who was going to take this job?
Point A to point B, and point B going nowhere.
Yeah.
That's the situation for the Cleveland Browns.
But who is going to take this job and be the next head coach for the Browns? Like, even Stefanski, when he was there, seemed like a guy who kind of was like, I might want out of this situation. Like, Kevin Stefanski was a better head coach than the Browns record would indicate. Kevin Stefanski was given a raw deal. It was 13 quarterbacks in the time that Kevin Stefanski was head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
That's a raw deal. That's a bad organization giving your head coach a raw deal. Now, hopefully they give Todd Monken a better shot at being a head coach. And no head coach should have to go through 13 quarterbacks in your tenure as head coach. And maybe they can figure out their quarterback situation in the next couple years, because certainly right now, this is no way to go through a franchise.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Bleck Abdalla, if you want to join the conversation, you can call us at 310-840-4910. Like, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan today, like, I get it. You have an offensive-minded guy, and at times, Todd Monken has had lethal offenses with Baltimore, and his name has been out there for years. But I also would look at it as, you now are a franchise where you hire a head coach that essentially no one else wanted. I mean, Todd Monken wasn't a finalist for any of these other gigs that were filled here in this coaching cycle. Robert Saleh with the Titans, John Harbaugh with the Giants, Kevin Stefanski with the Falcons, Jesse Minter with the Ravens. And obviously, Monken wasn't going to stick around with the Ravens, but still, Minter was a name that you heard for multiple different options in this cycle. Jeff Hatley with the Dolphins, Mike McCarthy from way downtown, no one expected, out of nowhere, gets the Steelers job. Joe Brady with the Bills. To me, it's just the Browns process seemed failed from the start. It seemed like they didn't know how to handle this, even though their job was one of the jobs that was obviously going to be open at the end, right? Like, we knew that Cleveland would have a head coaching opening, And they waited. They went through this process. You made the joke about it. The essay, the test taking, all this stuff. I would like to read Todd Monken's essay. I would like to see what he wrote, pen to paper. How did he handle this? What was his answers? What were they like? Did he use ChatGPT to help him answer these questions, to get past the screening process with the Cleveland Browns?
I absolutely would have for the Browns.
Let my
sure.
Pro Bowl quarterback
hello, Raj.
sling it. Hello, fellas. I think his answer said, let my Pro Bowl quarterback sling it.
Yes. That's what it was said, because that's the way he handled Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. And now he's got Shedeur Sanders, and Shedeur Sanders, per what Raj is pointing to, is a Pro
Bowl
Bowler.
quarterback.
He's an alternate to the Pro Bowl team. Like, that to me is just like, he's not a Pro Bowler. You listed off the stats. Shedeur Sanders is not a Pro Bowl caliber player.
He is.
He's not.
Fellas,
he's in there.
when Todd Monken turns on his TV February 3rd to watch the Pro Bowl games, he's going to see his quarterback out there.
He will. He will be out there because they needed bodies. They needed individual. They needed extras on the set. They needed people there. That's what this is. Shedeur Sanders is not a Pro Bowl player this season.
But the problem is, when we talk about players and we talk about their accolades.
No one will do that.
But then
no one is saying they're not adding that to the resume of Shedeur Sanders.
But to other players you do, and now we just have to stop. Now you just have to stop. Mitchell Trubisky, Pro Bowl quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowl quarterback. It doesn't say that, though.
The Pro Bowl quarterback part of the conversation happens because they were voted a Pro Bowler. That's the part that goes to the resume.
But it doesn't say that.
When you're an
to
alternate, no one pays attention to the alternates.
When you go to their Wikipedia page, when you go to their Pro Football Reference page, it doesn't say that. It just says how many Pro Bowls. It doesn't say alternate. It doesn't say voted. It doesn't say that. It just says Pro Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
to
2.
Abdalla's point, I am on Shedeur Sanders' Wikipedia page right now, and right at the top of awards and highlights, Pro Bowl 2025.
Pro Bowl.
Oh my God!
And
there
now
you go.
Todd Monken gets himself a Pro Bowl quarterback to
Shut the site down. Shut it down. What is that? Pro Football Reference?
Reference, yeah.
Shut it down. No need for this website anymore.
There's a lot of things that we need to be shutting down today.
Oh, do it. You got more?
Halls of Fame.
Yeah, well,
need to be shut down.
And we'll get to that throughout the show,
Pro
obviously.
Football References need to be shut down.
The fact that Bill Belichick is not voted in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, you're all football stupid. If you are someone who had a vote and you didn't vote for Bill Belichick to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, you're an idiot. And whatever you're trying to prove, trying to be cute, get out of here. No one cares. We all have watched football. He's one of the best coaches I've ever seen in my entire life. And for most of the Patriots' run, it was his defense that was showing up time and time again.
Yeah.
Over time, Tom Brady turned into the best player in the league's history. I'll give Brady all the credit in the world for doing that. But the early years, that was Belichick. That was that defense. That was the attention to detail. And he is the best coach I've ever seen coach in the NFL. First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Any other reason for it is just absolute nonsense.
I want to correct you on something. You said could be, he is the best coach of all time. There's two greatest coaches of all time. It's him in the NFL. It's Saban in college. Those are the two. And when you have won Coach of the Year 3 times, when you have the most playoff wins, when you have the most conference championships, when you have the most Super Bowl wins, he has 8 Super Bowl wins. He has 6 as a head coach. He has 2 as an assistant head coach or as a coordinator.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt. There is no doubt. And because 11 voters, some of them don't even actually cover the league anymore. That's the thing. Some of these guys don't actively cover the league. They're not writers anymore. They're like, I heard Pete Prisco on with You Better You Bet.
Professor Emeritus's.
Yes, exactly. They're like Supreme Court justices. I heard Pete Prisco on with Nick Costos earlier today on You Better You Bet. They don't get voted off this committee anymore.
Right,
They're just there. They hold these petty grudges. And so because you cheated, you got caught with Spygate and Deflategate, or maybe you weren't nice to them in the media, and you were curmudgeon in your press conferences.
A little rough around the edges.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Bill
Cincinnati.
Belichick, not a media guy.
Who cares?
Writers, it's all they care about. Their feelings. No, seriously. When it comes to writers with Hall of Fames, all they care about are their little feelings. That's what it is. It's not, they're not using their eyes. They're not looking at the stats. If you looked at the stats, you'd say, oh, Belichick, first ballot Hall of Famer. Do you watch the games? Oh, yeah, the Patriots, they were great. He was the best coach of his era. Absolutely. First ballot Hall of Famer.
He's the best coach ever.
You vibe check on the feelings. Oh, he wasn't very friendly to us in the press conferences.
Who cares?
Well, that's what writers, old curmudgeon-y writers, that's what they care about.
And you can choose to, there's reports both ways on Bill Polian.
Oh, Bill Polian's the worst.
On swaying voters, on whether or not he may or may not have swayed voters. And
now,
here's
we
how
don't
I
know
feel
if he
about
did
this.
that, though, Abdalla. We don't know if he did that. He doesn't know if he did that.
He doesn't know. He gave 2 separate quotes to
Okay.
people yesterday that he doesn't know what he voted for.
And that's my point.
Senile.
That's my point.
What are we doing?
The fact that he doesn't remember whether or not he voted for Bill Belichick is all the evidence I need to say that you swayed voters. That's all I need. Is the fact, because if it was definitive, if he came out and he said, I didn't do that, I voted for him, I didn't do that. But no,
that would be different.
It was, I don't remember.
Well, he's upset that the Colts got it handed to him multiple times in that era, in that run.
Of course.
When Belichick and the Patriots were at their best.
Of course.
That's what it is. It's the rivalry between Polian and Dungy and all of the Colts people that have been elected, because Dungy's a Hall of Famer, is he not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Polian's a Hall of Famer, and I know Polian, his credentials go back to the Bills teams of the early 90s, late 80s. Like, I get that. Polian, credential-wise, is a Hall of Famer. He is the worst, though. I mean, isn't he the one that said that Lamar Jackson shouldn't play quarterback?
There's 3 things now on Bill Polian's resume, and one of them, you and I are broadcasting out of the great city of Chicago. One of them hits close to home for you and I.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I can't stand Bill Polian.
There's 3 of them now. Lamar Jackson is a wide receiver.
Yep.
Matt Eberflus, he convinced.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
He convinced the Bears and the McCaskies that Matt Eberflus should be hired and would be a good head coach from the Colts. The Colts were going to fire Matt Eberflus if he didn't get a head coaching job. And he convinced the Bears during their coaching search. They brought in Bill Polian as an advisor to the coaching search, and he convinced them that he would be a good head coach, which led to something that the Bears have never done in the history of their franchise, firing a head coach mid-season.
Yep.
And then now this. That's 3 strikes. You're out, Bill Polian.
You're out. I just think the fact that he can't remember and is giving different quotes to different writers last night, saying he did or he didn't, is just hysterical.
That's all I need to know.
It's Bill Belichick. It's not like the 52nd guy on the roster who you're trying to squint your eyes and make the picture be like, yeah, maybe he's a Hall of Fame. I can't really remember.
No.
It's Bill Belichick.
No.
What are you doing? You can join us at 310-840-4910. It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. And it's a huge sports day. So we have the Todd Monken to the Browns head coach. Bill Belichick doesn't get into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. And there's an NBA star who could be on the move next week. A huge star. We'll tell you that story coming up next. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And when anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit.
If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. If you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BNA for Bleck and Abdalla. That's BNA, and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states and present in state where it is lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets are non-cash credits that expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer valid until February 8th, 2026.
Bleck and Abdalla are headed to San Francisco. All next week, we're live from the site of Media Row at Super Bowl 60. The NFL is on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
About an hour ago, Shams Charania from ESPN put it on social media. Two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home by the February 5th NBA trade deadline. That's next week. Next week. Or in the offseason, as several rival teams make aggressive offers to the Milwaukee Bucks for him, and the franchise is starting to listen, league sources tell ESPN. So the news here is that now it's officially out there that the Bucks are willing to listen for a trade offer for Giannis. Giannis has kind of been on the fence on all of this.
Mm-hmm.
He continues to give quotes saying he's not going to leave Milwaukee. Although reports and rumors and stories have been out there for about a year that he's not happy and that he would like to play in New York City with the New York Knicks, all this stuff, because that was out there last summer.
Yeah.
And he then will say to the media, well, I'm in Milwaukee. I'm going to stay in Milwaukee. Yet this stuff continues to trickle out. And the only way Shams is tweeting something like this today is the first part of this. Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home at the trade deadline or in the offseason. That's the news, right? The rumors have been out there that this is a possibility, but the news is that Shams is saying that Giannis wants the new home.
Yeah.
And the trade deadline's next week.
Yeah.
It's on the 5th. And the Bucks aren't going anywhere. Right now, it's sitting on the outside looking in the playoff race. Giannis just got hurt recently. So, like, can the Bucks make a run? Probably not. Can they make a move? Probably not. And it really is interesting because we can roll through all of the different teams that could make offers. I'm guessing there's not going to be a whole lot that could happen here in season, but it's also the NBA. And we saw Luka Doncic get traded to the Lakers overnight and virtually for nothing. And so it could happen. It's big news in the NBA today. Giannis and the Bucks listening to offers from teams who are very aggressive trying to land Antetokounmpo.
It seems like every time Giannis is asked about this, he does the who? Me?
Why would I say
Who
that?
Who could possibly be we have to find the person who's leaking these things. Who could possibly be doing this? It's the guy in the hot dog costume who's trying to find out who crashed the hot dog mobile. Who could have possibly have done this? It seems like this could happen. You know, this is something that happens a week before the deadline, literally a week before the deadline, and you get reports like this, and then momentum happens, and something happens pretty fast. Like you said, Luka was traded for basically nothing. So you can't just say, oh, well, they don't have anything to trade. Yeah, well, nothing matters anymore because anything can happen. Trades can happen for literally nothing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think what could happen is in the summer, you could certainly get more teams involved.
I don't know, man.
But
I could see a team making a move and just saying, we've got a shot this year. We've got a shot this year. We need to do something mildly aggressive, not too aggressive, that would pique the Bucks' interest. And we need to do something right now. If Giannis isn't going to play for them right now, and they're not going to make the playoffs, and if he comes back this year, and let's say he gets hurt again and does my leg, and I'm not going to play, or if I am going to play, it's going to be sporadically because my leg's going to hurt and I'm not going to play. A team could get involved like the Knicks, who have a very good chance at winning the Eastern Conference, and they get involved and they make the move. I could very much see this happening by the February 5th deadline.
So the article on ESPN.com also goes on to say that a part of this is Milwaukee does not have any rush to move, and they're willing to navigate the Antetokounmpo future in the offseason if the price isn't what they're looking for. And Shams also writes that it could be a blue chip young talent and or a surplus of draft picks as a part of what they're looking for. And they could also wait until the summer because you could see what teams have as far as draft picks go before the NBA draft, right? Like, so if you know the team that has the number one pick is a part of the aggressive offer group trying to land Giannis, and you want Boozer's kid from Duke, who could be the number one pick, or any of the various names that are thrown at the top of the board, the kid from Kansas, BYU, whoever it is, that could factor into this and actually be more beneficial for Milwaukee, because like the way you need to look at it, if you're a Bucks fan today, is that you got to hope that they pull off whatever this trade is, and you can kind of do what Dallas was able to do and land the number one pick. Now, obviously, Dallas lucked into that because of the lottery. So the Mavericks, after making the deal, which was crazy, Luka Doncic to the Lakers, the pick turned into Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
And the Cooper Flag replacement right now is not the same as having Luka on your team.
No.
But if Milwaukee can make the deal with a team that lands the number one pick or a number two pick or a number three pick, you have a much better chance in the future getting this in the right direction. I'd also say this news is bad news for anyone who's an NBA fan. And what I mean by this is Giannis to Milwaukee and his development in Milwaukee that then turned into an MVP, which then turned into a championship in Milwaukee is not normal. Usually, the way the league has worked for the last 30 years is you have to be on one of the coasts. You have to be in Los Angeles. You have to be in South Florida, maybe Texas. Those are the places where teams have consistent success at winning championships and keeping the top talent. Big cities on the coast, South Florida. That's it. Those are the places where players want to play. No one wants to go to Memphis. No one wants to go to Milwaukee or Detroit or Cleveland. And I get it. Cleveland, you got your LeBron thing. That's it. No one's signing in Cleveland as a free agent on their own free will.
Yeah.
So it is disappointing, because if you're an NBA fan and your team is not the New York Knicks, the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers now, the Golden State Warriors, and maybe a team or two in Texas, Houston, Dallas, Spurs, no one willingly wants to go to your franchise. Milwaukee did it by drafting and developing a player that turned into one of the best players in the league. And now he wants out, which is crushing for all the small franchises around the league, because you really have no hope. When you do get that player, it's a limited amount of time that you get that player on your team, and you got to maximize everything you could. I think Milwaukee tried their best. They got a championship. They made multiple aggressive trades to try and appease Giannis. Every season he would complain. He would have problems with the way that, not enough help, and you gotta make this move. All this, they were doing everything. The Damian Lillard trade blew up in their face, and that's why they're at where they're at now. And it's just sad for the NBA fan who is not someone of a team, who's a fan of a team in a big city on the coast.
Yeah, and I think it's, you really don't have anybody to blame. Like, if you're a Bucks fan today, you can't be really mad at your organization because, like you said, they tried. They did everything that they could. They made a lot of aggressive moves to try to appease, and appease is really the wrong word, I think. They tried to build around Giannis. And, like, when you win a championship, it's hard to sustain that kind of success because you can't really, quote, build through the draft, because the draft this isn't the NFL. The draft isn't very deep. You have to make very good moves in free agency, and you have to make really good trades, and you have to do all that kind of stuff. And they tried to do that, and they were good. They were consistent, and they were in the playoffs, and they would make runs. And then, they had a few injuries, and it didn't work out. But it's not their fault. It's not ownership's fault. It's not the front office's fault that it didn't work out. It's been a very competitive Eastern Conference, and they got one. And sometimes you only get one. And sometimes you have a Hall of Fame superstar like Giannis, who's with the franchise for a while. Unfortunately for the Bucks, it might not be the remainder of his career, who only gets one for them. And if this trade works out for Giannis, and he might never not get another one. Like, this could not necessarily backfire for him, but let's say he goes to the Knicks. It's not a guarantee that the Knicks are going to win a championship.
No, because with a lot of these moves, what will happen is, because Giannis is set to make next season $58 million in the year. The following season, for Giannis, he has a player option, $62 million. Likely what happens is the top-level stars opt out of their player options because they want to hit free agency and sign a new deal. So next year is essentially his last year on his deal.
Yeah.
And that's why the Bucks need to start getting ahead of this now instead of waiting until next season before they absolutely have to trade him, or else he walks for nothing. So, but with that said, your thought on the Knicks is like, you have to match that. You need to come close to that type of salary, which means you're sending back a lot of stuff the other way. So if you say it's Giannis and Jalen Brunson, and then everything else on the team is disbanded, I mean, like, I don't know if that necessarily fixes the Knicks issue. Like, here's an idea for Knicks fans. You're hoping that Giannis saves the day, yet you probably should have kept Tom Thibodeau as your head coach.
Yep.
Because the way Mike Brown has led this team to not have the same success that they've had the last couple of years, I think that could be directly pointed back to Tom Thibodeau is no longer the coach of the New York Knicks.
Well, Chris, a lot of teams should have kept Tom Thibodeau.
Well, I mean, I think you could argue right now.
A lot of teams should keep Tom Thibodeau as their coach.
Thibodeau is probably a top 5 coach in the NBA right now, even though he doesn't have a job.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I think that's possible.
The problem is he wears out his welcome because he just wears people down.
But he wins.
Of course he wins. He just wears people down.
Do you want to win, or you just want to be friends with people?
I want to win.
See, exactly. And that's so the Knicks. Like, do you disband everything to go after Giannis? Is that really going to change it?
No, but you have to. If you're a franchise, you have to hope that you have a team like the Mavericks or like the Lakers, who's just willing to be like, no, we don't care. We just want him. Like, we're not going to give you anything. It's going to take literally nothing.
See, like, I would like to think that some of the young teams around the league, because like this is enticing. If you're a young team that's good, to add a player like Giannis, you immediately are in title contention, even though some of these young teams have already won a championship, Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Or you're pretty damn close. The Spurs are second in the West, right? The Thunder are first in the West, both young teams. I would keep that together. Detroit, number 1 in the East right now at 34-11.
Mm-hmm.
Young players, keep it together. Don't do something stupid. Go after Giannis, disband half of your team to then bring in Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
And then you're like ruining the kind of flow of what you have with the young talent in the window that you're creating based on this. And I think that's where teams get stuck. You look at Cleveland this year. They haven't been as good as they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a place that you kind of look? Philly is always tinkering. The 76ers always have something that they're trying to change around. Paul George, whether or not he's going to play or not. I think Orlando and Miami are both teams that kind of keep your eye on in the Eastern Conference. In the West, Los Angeles, you could maybe argue, we had a story last week that there's perhaps a disgruntled all-time great on the roster who's not happy that Luka is the new guy in town.
Yeah.
His salary would certainly match, but there ain't no way that LeBron's getting traded to Milwaukee.
He's not eating at the brat stop.
I kind of feel like Phoenix is one of those teams that is like trying to build with younger players.
Yeah.
They did the star chasing thing and it didn't quite work out.
Hold on a second. At this point, it'd be easier for you to name teams that are not interested because you've named
Yeah.
like 15 teams.
I
Like
got you.
you've named like 20 teams so
Chicago.
far. Okay,
Chicago.
there you go.
Chicago.
The Bulls aren't going to do anything.
No, they're not interested.
Congratulations, Chicago Bulls. You're not doing anything because
No.
you've done nothing
Chicago.
for the last 20 years.
Yeah, the Bulls won't do anything. That's the least surprising thing you will hear from the Bleck and Abdalla show today. That the Chicago Bulls will not participate in trying to land Giannis Antetokounmpo. No surprise from veteran observers of the passing, pathetic, mediocre Chicago Bulls scene.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. If you want to join us, you can call us at 310-840-4910. All right, coming up next, one team has to be livid with this year's Super Bowl. That's next.
Super Bowl 60 is set. Patriots, Seahawks. Keep listening for all the inside information you need to know on your home for the NFL, Westwood One Sports, and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Tennessee Titan fans have to be livid with the Super Bowl this year. Patriots, Seahawks, Super Bowl 60, Santa Clara, Bleck Abdalla. We will be in San Francisco next week broadcasting live from Radio Row. Can't wait. It's going to be a great time. If you're a Titans fan today, you got to be so upset to see the turnaround with the New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel, who was obviously one of the, or if not the best candidate on the market last coaching cycle last year. It was Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson. Those were the two that everyone wanted. And the Titans, okay, we don't want your services anymore. All right, Vrabel goes right back to New England, jumpstarts the team, get to the playoffs, get to the championship game, gets to the Super Bowl with a young quarterback. The Titans could have had that. They had Mike Vrabel.
Yeah,
they have to be the franchise, the fan base that's most upset at this year's Super Bowl.
I don't know. Mike McCarthy was out there too. He's got the same record as John Harbaugh.
Oh, don't do this again.
He was available. I'm just letting you know. You're all excited about John Harbaugh. Mike McCarthy's got the same amount of wins, and we already went through this. I agree with you that yes, Titans fans should be upset. I still think that if we come in here the day after the Super Bowl, on Super Bowl Monday, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Super Bowl Monday. That's exactly
Monday.
The date. Yes, the day after the Super Bowl will be on Monday. Yes, it's Super Bowl Monday.
Super Bowl Monday.
Yes.
They don't play anything on that day.
Hungover Monday,
which everybody wants us to be a national. Should it be a national holiday?
I can't work because there was too much football.
Even though they played the game earlier, you've got time to sober up and get to work, people. Come on.
You want to talk about this country going soft? Jeez, we can't get to work the day after a Super Bowl.
Handle your alcohol. It's the Vikings. It's the Vikings. Because if Sam Darnold goes out and plays lights out again, then we've had 2 years worth, because he played really well during the regular season of the Vikings. Then he had a horrible final
14 wins.
Well, yeah, he had a horrible final game of the season. Then he had a horrible playoff game. Then he goes to the Seahawks. He has a decent regular season. He has a fine division game. He doesn't have to really do anything because
he's a fine division game.
Well, he doesn't have to do anything. He didn't have to do anything.
17 passes.
He didn't have to do anything. He had the oblique injury. He goes out there. You got Kenneth Walker. You just hand the ball off to him. You got special teams touchdown. You didn't have to do anything. But then in the NFC Championship game, he goes out there and he plays the game of his life.
He was awesome.
If he goes out in the Super Bowl and has a performance like he did in the NFC Championship game, if you're Kevin O'Connell and you're looking at J.J. McCarthy over there, you have to be kicking yourself.
It's a rough look.
Because you have the defense. You have Justin Jefferson. You are one of the best offensive minds in the game. You have Brian Flores as a great defensive coordinator who, if he didn't sue the NFL, would be a head coach somewhere. You have everything except for the quarterback. And he was in your building. And we're going to be talking about it. If Sam Darnold goes out and has that performance in the Super Bowl and wins Super Bowl MVP, we're going to be talking about at length during the offseason.
Yep.
Is he a top 10 quarterback?
Oh, yeah.
Where does he rank?
If he duplicates the game he had in the championship game, that will be the conversation. Bleck Abdalla, sponsored by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam. Just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. So you mentioned the Vikings. So Titans fans are upset because they let Vrabel go. Vikings fans are upset because they have 9. J.J. McCarthy, he's given nickname that he's telling people to call him 9. There's nothing more pathetic than that.
It's
you
not
also
a nickname. It's an alter ego, he said. He becomes 9. He becomes 9.
There is no such thing.
He puts on the jersey.
The eye black goes on and he becomes 9. You know what sucks about it too, Raj, is I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but JJ McCarthy is from like not too far from where we're sitting right now in Chicago.
Yes.
Like JJ McCarthy was a great high school football player in the Chicagoland area. And he went on to Michigan. And I just think that he's just not as talented, and the Vikings messed up. But
Did he become 9 back in high school?
He was a stud in high school.
He was actually
Here's
he
what
was
you need to
full-time 9. He was always 9.
What you need to understand about high school football in the state of Illinois is it's not like Ohio or California or Texas or Florida where you see passing modern offense. You see a lot of teams in Illinois football, high school football, running like the wing T still and triple options. And J.J. McCarthy was just throwing the football all over the field.
Yeah.
I think there was a recruit who just signed with a big school from this past high school season who was like a passing quarterback as well. And it's like, wow, what a breath of fresh air.
And then Harbaugh got a hold of him and goes, "You're not throwing the football.
Come here.
You're just going to hand off."
Here's the deal. Vikings fans, you could be upset. Jets fans, you also have to be somewhat annoyed. I mean, Sam Darnold was yours. You drafted Sam Darnold. If you're a Jets fan,
I don't know.
To see Sam Darnold having this level of success.
No,
that's what you thought was going to happen when you drafted him.
I understand that, but nothing good comes from the Jets. Because look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was with the Giants. They gave him that big money deal and still nothing. You have to then he's in the same room with Kevin O'Connell for like 2 months. And all of a sudden, he goes to the Colts and has this great magical 2-month run before he gets hurt. And we're talking about, can the Colts go to the Super Bowl? Are the Colts the best team in the NFL? And then he gets hurt and we're like, nope, they're not. Never mind. Take it all back. And then they have to go and sign Phillip Rivers off the couch. So it's all Kevin O'Connell. Like, he can develop these quarterbacks. You just got to get to J.J. McCarthy somehow.
Okay, so we have Titans, we have the Vikings, the Jets. Where do you want to place the Commanders? Because they passed on Drake May. Jane Daniels is a player coming into the draft that you and I both had the concerns, as many did, for Jane Daniels, his ability to stay healthy.
Yes.
And in that draft, there were 2 players everyone thought were the 2 best players. There's Drake May and Caleb Williams. Those are the 2 guys.
Yeah.
And if you pass on Drake May for Jane Daniels, are Commanders fans upset?
I think it's TBD, because if you can get a play caller in there that is going to run an offense that keeps him upright, where he doesn't have to run as much, where he can stay in the pocket and throw the football, and he can stay healthy that way, then he's going to be great. They got to the NFC Championship game. So he's a good quarterback. I'm not going to say anything bad about Jaden Daniels other than he can't stay healthy. Stay healthy, and he can be great. Like, there's no knock on Jaden Daniels other than stay healthy. That's it. If you can avoid taking sacks and running the football as much as you did this past season and stay healthy, Commanders fans will be fine, and the Commanders will be fine as long as you can do that.
What about the Ravens for letting Mike McDonald out of the building? He was their defensive coordinator. He led their defense, and now he's doing wonders with the Seahawks.
No, you got to just do that. I mean, listen, what are you going to keep coaches? What are you going to lock them in a cage and never let them go?
Especially defensive coordinators.
Like, come on.
Like, you can't, like, what were you going to fire John Harbaugh at the
That's
time.
the argument, that they should have fired done what Buffalo just did.
And done what
fired
Buffalo
McDermott
did.
and promoted Brady. That's the argument. And then look who they just hired, Jesse Minter. Like they're trying to replicate what they let go.
I will say this, Raj. I see what you're doing here because there's also one other team that you placed on this list.
Yes, there is. Don't
what
skip
team
that
was
team.
made to look worse by the Super Bowl matchup? Seahawks, Patriots. You have the Chicago Bears listed there for passing on Drake May.
They passed on
nuts?
Drake May.
How
Are you nuts?
How dare you?
Are you nuts?
First of all, how dare you? How dare you?
Take a lap, Raj.
Yeah.
That's not right.
That's ridiculous. Okay, they went to overtime and they were one play away from going to the NFC Championship game
but
with
Drake
Caleb
May
Williams.
made it to the Super Bowl. He
not right.
Jarrett Stidham in a snowstorm.
Outdueled.
It's not right.
He took 15 sacks in the postseason so far. He's about
Did
to
he
take
fumble
5
ever?
more.
Did he ever fumble?
I'm going to do this.
I think
I'm
he
going to
fumbled.
send Raj the highlights that the NFL put out of Caleb Williams in his season this year. 55 minutes worth.
55.
On YouTube. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I have.
55 minutes. I've watched it. I'm sending it to you,
Abdalla's
Raj.
like, have I seen it? I go to bed to it every night. It's
Are you kidding me?
bookmarked.
Yeah.
It's Bleck Abdalla, sponsored by Progressive. Commercial insurance protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. I'm going to send it to you, Raj,
Listen.
and you can watch Caleb Williams dice up the NFL in his second year. Stud.
There's only 3 shows my daughter's allowed to watch. It's Bluey, Super Kitties, and that 55-minute highlight reel of Caleb Williams.
Dude, Bluey
in the
is
NFL this
solid.
season.
Bluey is always a good watch. There's no
Super
shame
Kitties.
in
Super
watching
Kitties.
Bluey.
I don't know how she found Super Kitties. It was like next to Bluey on like the Disney Plus app one day, and she was like, Super Kitties. And I was like, who told you about this? It's ridiculous. They're like Ninja Turtles, but kitties. It's weird.
Oh, that reminds me of the Shark Show in the 90s. Remember they made
Yes.
the sharks who were supposed to be like the Ninja Turtles?
Yes. But these are they're like cats sometimes, but then they get like an alert and then they turn into Super Kitties.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. That's ridiculous.
It is.
The Browns have a new head coach, Todd Monken. What is he going to do at DC? We talk about that next here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the Tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Sirius XM channel 375, noon to 3 Eastern, each and every weekday, right here on Westwood One Sports. I'm Chris Bleck, along with Adam Abdalla, broadcasting live from Chicago. If you want to join us, you can call us at 310-840-4910. We have lots of news going on today in the sports world. The NFL is on fire. We have Todd Monken taking the Browns job today. We got more news on that coming up in just a second. We have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who could be on the move from the Milwaukee Bucks before the trade deadline. That news comes from ESPN and Shams Charania, so we'll keep our eyes on that situation. Bill Belichick yesterday, the news breaks that Belichick will not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is just insane to even think about that that's something that has taken place.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick is a first-ballot Hall of Fame coach. So we'll also talk about that as the day goes. Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Todd Monken is the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And the latest news that's out there to the NFL Network is that Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz is upset about being passed over for the head coaching job. And he told coaches they doesn't plan on staying in Cleveland. And I think what it seemed like is that the Browns thought that Schwartz was going to stay in Cleveland and be the defensive coordinator with Todd Monken. But when you interview someone for the top job and you pass them over, Schwartz is right to be upset and want to leave. That's a great defense. He's a great defensive coordinator. So the Browns are now looking for a new defensive coordinator.
Absolutely. And, you know, part of it might be that he could have taken interviews elsewhere. There are a bunch of jobs that were open this year. Obviously, 10 jobs were open this year. Obviously, 9 others for him. He could have he interviewed for this job. So 10 for him. And there's a defensive coordinator jobs that are open around the NFL still that he could be a part of, that he could go to. He's a good defensive coordinator. If he's not going to get one of the 2 remaining jobs that are open, the Cardinals job still open, the Raiders job is still open. So, and a bunch of good defensive coordinator jobs that are still going to be the Bills defensive coordinator job is still open. That needs a good defensive coordinator. We talked about it yesterday when Joe Brady took the job, that the Bills need a good defensive coordinator to turn around that defense instantly, because they are a Super Bowl contending team that as soon as you turn around that defense, that team becomes even better with Joe Brady staying there and taking over the head job and Josh Allen still being there. Obviously, all you need is a better defense. Jim Schwartz, instant contender right there. Get him there. So if he wants to take a better job that obviously has a chance of winning something, go to the Bills. Go somewhere there. And I would listen. I'd be pissed too. You don't get the job that you sat around and took all the tests and whatever they were having.
Maybe that's why he's annoyed, is that he stayed and he did the extra work.
I had to take all these essays and multiple choice and everything.
Still like that. I don't know if we've made a big enough deal of the Cleveland situation, searching for a head coach and putting these candidates through all of these different hoops to jump through. I don't know if we're making a big enough deal about it, because on one side of it, if it works out, we'll, in hindsight, point to it and say, hey, the Cleveland Browns really knew what they were doing. That's my voice in a land that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because what will likely happen is Todd Monken will be their head coach for one season. They'll fire him because it doesn't work out. And then they'll be right back here next offseason looking for a new head coach. Yeah. And then we're going to say, we told you so.
Well, okay. Let me ask you
right,
this.
Like how likely is this going to work? I don't think it's very likely.
When has a weird hiring practice ever worked, right? We talked about this yesterday with the Chicago Bears and how when they were going through the hiring process, they had Bruce Arians in the building and they were putting candidates through mock press conferences. And he said, thanks, but no thanks.
Not interested.
And then he went to the Bucks and won a championship. So, like, anytime you have a questionable practice, odds are not going to work. So I would say, yeah, you're right. I don't know if it's going to be 1 year like Gerard Mayo, and then they're going to have, we have this awesome candidate that just became available like Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson, and we just had to have him. No, this is going to be another guy that's going to be screwed around with another 13 different starting quarterbacks like Kevin Stefanski, with 13 different starting quarterbacks during his 6 years with the Browns. I can't believe it was only 6. It felt like forever because of the different starting quarterbacks that he had. And then he's going to be there for his contract. And then guess what? When his contract's up, they're going to have to get a new test, which is new Scantrons, and they're going to have to go through this all again. And this is what the Browns are. And you're wasting, and no one feels bad for Myles Garrett. He took a ton of money. Like, he took the most money possible to stay in Cleveland. No one feels bad for him. But you are wasting a Hall of Famer just sitting there, breaking records left and right, destroying other teams' quarterbacks, getting you absolutely nowhere. And it's unfortunate, because you'll never get to see him in the postseason.
You know what I was going to say is this reminds me of a David Culley situation in Houston. That's what it reminds me of. Older guy gets his first crack at being a head coach, there for 1 year, and then out. That's it. David Culley, he had one season with the Texans. That's what this Todd Monken hire reminds me of, is that it's a little weird, a little surprising, weird, strange process from the Browns. And it's a situation that, like, their quarterback situation is absolute garbage. It's a tough situation, right? Mm-hmm. You have 3 guys. You don't really have an answer. If you want to do they've got 2 Pro Bowlers, because Deshaun Watson's a former Pro Bowler, and Abdalla's here to tell me that Shadur Sanders is a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
He's an alternate for the Pro Bowl games.
Listen, it's on his resume. Hold on. He's
an alternate. There's like 7 quarterbacks that turn them down to get to Shadur Sanders. I know you're going to look it up, Point being is
Shedeur
with Monken,
Sanders,
Boy,
I
not
just
a lot of
don't-
quarterback rooms with 2 Pro Bowlers in them, guys.
Hold
See,
on.
Not
well,
a lot
that's
of rooms.
and Raj,
Let
that's
me
why I said it like
do
that, because this is a
quick
messy quarterback room. You got 2 Pro Bowlers.
Wikipedia.
You have a draft pick from last year and Dylan Gabriel. You don't know if he can play. You don't know if Shedeur can play. And Watson, to this point, can't really play. Injured. You don't know when he's back how that will go.
So hold on one second before you move on.
Okay.
Shedeur Sanders on his Wikipedia page, awards and highlights. Number retired by the Colorado Buffaloes.
Oh yeah, that was an award that was well deserved.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, it was.
He won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award in 2024.
Yeah, okay. He was a good college quarterback.
And he was elected to the Pro Bowl in 2025.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you.
I was just letting you know.
The
Fellas,
fact that-
if AI is accurate, the Cleveland Browns are the only active roster right now of all 32 teams with multiple Pro Bowl quarterbacks in that
Two
room.
Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Yeah, Roger's right. He's on it. That's a stat. How about
What a
that
job.
stat? Stat of the day on the show. There's a stat. Can you look up Colorado football to retire Shedeur's number? Can you give me the record in the bowl games that they won with Shedeur at quarterback outside of him being the offspring of the head coach? Can you give that to me? I don't think you're going to be able to find that one, Abdalla. I don't think you're going to be able to Google up that one. Chat GPT that one
I mean,
for me.
I can. It's just not going to be a good
Yeah,
result.
Yeah,
So I
and they still retired the number. So, okay, here's the thing with Todd Monken. I just think this is probably not going to work, and Cleveland's going to be right back into the situation again next year. And right now, if you're also searching for a DC, we're talking about Jim Schwartz. He was the head coach of the Detroit Lions from 2009 to 2013. He wasn't good. So he's probably not going to get another crack at being a head coach. But something that you mentioned that I think is interesting. I agree with you. Let's watch Buffalo. Schwartz was in Buffalo as the DC in 2014. That year, with that defense in 2014, Schwartz's defense was 4th in yards given up, 4th in points, and 3rd in takeaways. So he's a really good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Buffalo would make a lot of sense. I think when you're looking at all the different options where teams are looking for a defensive coordinator, I think that is probably number one on the board. And I think that would be a nice pairing. I think that would really work. The fact that the news is breaking that the NFL network is reporting that Schwartz is upset that he was passed over for Monken and that he doesn't want to stay as defensive coordinator with the Browns, I think the Buffalo Bills is an interesting spot to watch.
Now, look, we've seen the Browns do this before. Myles Garrett said he was disgruntled and didn't want to stay. And what did the Browns do? They threw a boatload of money at him. And all of a sudden he was like, hey, Cleveland's the best place in the world and I want to stay. So if they really want Schwartz to stay, guess what?
There's a little difference between a
million.
defensive coordinator and Myles Garrett.
Listen, the only thing,
Raj, I mean, help me out with this.
The
What
only
are you
thing,
talking
the only
about?
thing they have going for them is their defense.
Yeah, because of Myles Garrett.
Well, they've got other pieces besides Myles Garrett. They have a good defense. They have a championship caliber defense. It's not just
there's no
him.
doubt about that.
It's not just him.
No, I agree. But
So-
your example was throwing money at Myles Garrett is different. They're gonna throw Cole's cash at Jim Schwartz.
I don't know,
They're
man.
not gonna.
Hey, you can get joggers with that athleisure.
I'm
Shoot
just
your
saying,
ankle.
if you want to keep the guys on that defense happy, if Myles Garrett comes to you and says, "I want Schwartz here," what are you doing? Are you
They would
keeping
just
him?
give him another raise to make him happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which raise is going to be smaller? The Myles Garrett raise or the Schwartz raise? The Schwartz raise is going to be smaller.
Of course.
Okay.
He's a shorter guy.
Well, there you go.
Myles
May the
Garrett
Schwartz be
really
with you.
tall.
By the way,
smaller
guys,
pants, smaller pants.
Monken is the 11th Browns head coach since they returned to the league in 1999. 11. I'm not even
and I think
including
I read.
interims.
Can you do you know off the top of your head, Raj, who's the only other team that's had more head coaches in that span? I think I saw this
Ooh.
earlier today. Can you
I don't
figure
off
this
the top
out?
of my head. If I had to
I know.
guess, I would guess Jets.
I don't believe it's the Jets. I don't believe so. Abdalla? I'm looking at the answer. I've got the answer.
Is it the Raiders?
It's the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Raiders. The
That-
Raiders have had
Yes.
so this is the 11th full-time head coach for the Browns since
Here we go.
99. The
Chris
Raiders have
Palmer.
had 13.
Chris Palmer, Butch Davis, Romeo Crennel, Eric Mangini, Pat Shurmur, Rob Chudzinski, Mike Pettin, Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, Kevin Stefanski, and now Todd Monken.
Okay, so what do we learn from that? If you're a Browns fan and you work for the Cleveland Browns, what have you learned? Those names, none of them had credentials before they got the gig, except Butch Davis was successful in college, right? He went to the Browns after his run with the Hurricanes. Isn't that the way that played out?
Yeah.
Wasn't that before he became Browns head coach?
Yeah.
But outside of that, there are no names on that list that were second and third time head coaches.
Mangini
They tried the Belichick tree with Crennel and Mangini.
Mangini was the Jets head coach before,
and then the Browns head coach.
The Browns head coach.
So Mangini is the only one that had previous head coaching experience.
Yeah.
And Butch Davis is the only one that was a head coach in college before he got the job.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a coordinator.
Head coach in college before they got him? I feel like Chudzinski came from college.
Yes. Like in Auburn, maybe?
I want to say Boston
Perhaps.
College. We're looking right now.
Point being.
I'm wrong. No, he went back to college after. Okay. No,
okay.
I'm wrong.
After. Here's the point. The Browns have historically, based on that list,
terrible hires.
They don't hire individuals who have done it before.
But I still go back to this. Kevin Stefanski's a good head coach. Kevin Stefanski was given 13 more starting quarterbacks than head coaches in 6 years than the Browns have had head coaches. Like, that's a raw deal.
Put it on the board.
That's a bad deal.
The Falcons or the Browns? Which fan base feels better today? The Falcons.
The Falcons, absolutely.
The Falcons.
Yes.
You can't feel good about this as a Browns fan.
If Kevin Stefanski was given a real quarterback and not Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played in 2 years, and
Pro
then
Bowl quarterback,
whatever, I know, and then the other and given another Pro Bowl quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, and I feel bad for Dylan Gabriel at this point, who we have to just say his name because he's in the room and he's got a good defense. If everything else had worked out for him, then this would be a better situation. But he was given Deshaun Watson. He was like, here's your quarterback. Guess what? He's suspended.
Oh, hold on. I don't think he was just given. I mean, I think the entire organization thought that Deshaun Watson was the next greatest quarterback in league history.
I understand that.
I mean, his run to start the career with the Texans,
I understand
that's what people would have thought.
I get that. And I'm not saying, look, and he absolutely deserved to be suspended for what he did. I'm not saying that. But if the organization had made the right decision and never gotten Deshaun Watson, Stefanski might still be the head coach. And they could have gotten a better quarterback. And they could have done something. Well, it's the Browns. They probably wouldn't have. They probably still would have messed it up.
He has a Pro Bowl quarterback now. So why was Stefanski let go if he has Shedeur Sanders, Abdalla? Back to you. Your thoughts.
I mean, he's got one. He's got
step away from the mic.
He's got
come on.
He's got one.
Back up your guy.
He's got Cousins now too.
Pro Bowl quarterback Shedeur Sanders looking at his watch.
My guy. Trust me, I've got enough mentions to know that he's
scoring tutties.
I've got enough Twitter mentions to know that he is not my guy.
Now, Monken was in Cleveland before, guys. He was the OC there in 2019 under the tutelage of head coach Freddie Kitchens, working with Baker Mayfield, who that year put up a 22 touchdown to 21 touchdown interception ratio under Todd Monken.
Now Monken is a good offensive coach.
Yeah.
But I think what we've seen is like sometimes his style of offense has kind of ran its course.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what Abdalla was pointing to earlier is that quarterbacks get hurt in his style of offense.
Yeah, you saw it last year with Lamar, but the 2 years before that, Lamar pretty much stayed healthy and they had top 5 offenses and they were, pretty high in points per game. But the problem was Lamar, and we saw it throughout the year, every week it was didn't practice, showed up to practice late, not because he just showed up late, but because he would show up and he was coming from the trainer's room and then was listed on the injury report and all that. And whether it was the style of play that Monken was throwing out there or just Lamar had an injury-prone year last year, the offense just never got going last year, and it did them in because they missed a field goal at the end of the year and missed the playoffs, and you had to blow out the entire coaching staff.
Stock Watch is coming up next with Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And when anything can happen in the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit.
If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. If you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BNA for Bleck Abdalla. That's code BNA and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states and present in state where it is lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets are non-cash credits that expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer valid until February 8th, 2026.
Bleck and Abdalla are headed to San Francisco. All next week, we're live from the site of Media Row at Super Bowl 60. The NFL is on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Download the podcast at Bleck Abdalla on Apple, Spotify, and Odyssey. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla, Westwood One Sports. We're broadcasting live from Chicago. It's now time for Stock Watch here on Bleck and Abdalla. And we welcome in Raj Sharon, who's in Colorado producing the show. What's up, Raj?
Hey, fellas. All right, we ready to get those sports portfolios going here? Are we buying? Are we selling? What are we doing? We're going to get started with the guy in the news today. Could he be on the move? Are we buying or selling Giannis Antetokounmpo stock, Abdalla?
Sell Giannis. I'm going to sell Giannis. He's I think that people are overestimating how much this dude is going to bring to a franchise right now, because like we talked about last hour, any team that is ready to win a championship right now is going to have to give up too much right now in order to keep what they have and sustain that to try to win a championship this year. It's going to be it's going to have to be a team that's in the lottery or a team that is in the play-in tournament this year, something like that. So I don't think this is going to be that big of a blockbuster as people think. Sell Giannis.
Okay, so to answer the question, here's the way I look at this in my portfolio. If Giannis is going somewhere by himself to a team that he's the number one guy and they don't already have a previous star that's like close to winning a championship, like about to get to that spot, I'm thinking about like somewhere like Golden State with the Warriors, with Steph Curry. Okay. If that's not the case, if he's going somewhere by himself, it's a sell. Mm-hmm. It's an absolute sell. And the reason being is even though he's so good, top 5 player in the league, he is very easy to figure out in a 7-game series.
Yes.
He's easy to defend because he can't shoot from the outside. And teams that figure that out, you load the paint, you make him drive, and you just get bodies in front of Giannis in the front court. And as long as you do that, you can solve the offensive prowess of Giannis Antetokounmpo because he can't shoot from the outside. So if he's going somewhere by himself, you sell. You buy if he is going somewhere like to Golden State with Steph Curry, which I don't think they can figure out because of the money with Butler and Draymond and all that. So that situation. Or if he went to a team that had an established top-level guy already, you would buy the stock. So, Raj, this is a long way to go to say I'm selling because I don't think Giannis will be traded to a place where he is not just the only number one star.
All right, fellas, next up on Stock Watch, Pro Bowl quarterback Shedeur Sanders, now under the tutelage of Todd Monken. Are we buying or selling Shedeur, Black?
Penny stock.
I'm selling because I don't think Shedeur Sanders wins the quarterback competition in training camp. I think Dylan Gabriel will be the quarterback next year for the Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to sell the stock on Shedeur Sanders. I know what I saw last season. He's a backup quarterback in the NFL. He is not someone that will be starting. He's not someone that will be a star. And congratulations to the one-time Pro Bowl quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, that other people had stuff to do that day. that they didn't want to participate in the Pro Bowl games. So sell.
I'm going to buy. This is Dogecoin. This is a meme coin. This is that, like, this is going to cost you like 0.000 of a cent per share.
Yeah.
And this is going to be like, you're going to look at this in like 10 years and be like, oh man, this is now worth a couple $100. Okay.
Should I log into my Robinhood and see where my Dogecoin's
to see what your
at right now?
Dogecoin is right now? Yeah,
I can't
look at
believe
that.
I bought stock in that little startup book company, Amazon.
Exactly.
Look where
Yeah,
it's at
exactly.
now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. See, this is Dogecoin. So
This is not Amazon. This is not Apple.
Yeah.
Before it
So
turned
no,
into
that's why
anything.
I said it. This is meme coin territory. So I am buying just because it's nothing. Oh, you lost a lot of money on Dogecoin today or yesterday. So I'm gonna buy.
I'm up for the week.
Oh, you're up for the week. Okay, good. I'm gonna buy because what the hell? Why not?
All right, next up.
Hold on. Full
everybody-
disclosure. Full disclosure. During the pandemic, I put like $4 in. That's how much it is. But Abdalla, I mean, it's not like a lot. But you're
That's
right.
my point.
You're right.
That's
Everyone
my point.
was buying lotto tickets. That's what Dogecoin was.
Exactly.
It was a lotto ticket.
All right, next up. Everybody's talking about him today. He is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Are we buying or selling Jordan Hudson's boo, Bill Belichick, Abdalla?
Okay, so the problem with stocks is that Bill Belichick's value right now, this moment today, is at an all-time high. So I have to sell Bill Belichick because if I would have done this at like noon yesterday, I could have bought a ton of Bill Belichick because we're talking North Carolina, Bill Belichick down on his luck. What is he doing with Jordan Hudson? I can't believe he's still letting her run his life. How long is he going to stay at North Carolina? Now we're talking full-on redemption arc Bill Belichick. This may or may not have been fully orchestrated by Jordan Hudson to convince these 11
Conspiracy
voters.
theory coming from Abdalla.
Listen, I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility that she didn't orchestrate this to get on the full-on redemption arc to say, hey,
Oh, please.
what better way to get on the redemption tour to get everybody to talk about how great you are again than to tell these 11 people to not vote for you. That way we get everybody to say how great you are again. And then everybody, you're the topic of conversation. You're the number one thing on PTI. You're the first thing on Sports Center. You're the number one thing that everybody starts with until
She
the Browns
doesn't know what PTI
Oh,
is.
she does. Trust
What the
me.
hell's wrong with
She
you?
knows who
Jordan
she
does not
knows who
know what
Tony-
PTI
She
is.
knows who
She's
Tony
not
and
watching
Michael are.
Tony
She
and
knows.
Michael
She
go
knows.
back and forth.
She's buy, sell.
No,
She knows.
She has no idea.
She knows. And so because
She's
of that,
looking forward to mail time. Come on.
I'm selling because we are at the peak
hell?
of redemption arc Bill Belichick. He is at an all-time high. You know I'm right.
I'm buying Belichick
Oh, he's
stock.
not going to get any higher.
No, you know why? Because he's a Hall of Famer and he's going to get another gig at some point. Someone's going to give him a chance, or he might win at North Carolina. He and Jordan.
No way.
If Signetti could do it, why can't Belichick do it? I don't even believe the words coming out of my mouth right now. But yes, I'm going to buy.
You know
I'm
why
gonna
you
buy.
can't believe it? Because Jordan put them in there. That's why you can't believe it.
She
Because
didn't put anything in my mouth.
Because here's why you
Easy.
can't believe it. Because before yesterday, if this would have just come out that Bill Belichick made the Hall of Fame, it's a footnote. We're not even talking about it.
Yeah, it's true.
But because he didn't make it, we're talking about how great he is. And we're talking about his 8 Super Bowl rings, 6 as a head coach, and the most conference championships, and the most this and the most that. That's the only reason we're talking about it, is because he didn't make it as a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is 100% orchestrated by Jordan Hudson. And until someone proves
This
me
has
wrong,
gone from an
I'm
idea
gonna
he
believe
had
it.
to 100%. It has happened.
I know. I mean, I view it like this. Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick is just like an Anna Nicole Smith and J. Howard Marshall situation.
whose name we
I
didn't
don't-
know until earlier today.
I looked it up earlier. I don't think Bill knows what's going on. I think Jordan is the one running the show. You're right, pulling the strings.
I'm telling you.
And I think this poor individual needs help.
And
I think someone should help him out.
I know we've hijacked the segment, but we are going to get a full-on Pablo finds out of some backdoor We're gonna get the video recordings. We're gonna get the audio recordings.
Why don't you do it?
Of like she's gonna be talking. We need to get the voters on our side to not vote for you. And she's gonna be like, what about my legacy? She's like, this is your legacy. You're still gonna get in. We're gonna change the voting process. I'm telling you, this is the conspiracy. I am full tinfoil hat on this.
Raj.
Okay. With that, some rapid fire quarterbacks. All right,
Okay.
He's got a new head coach, but he knows him. He just is moving his office down the hall. Josh Allen. Are you buying or selling Josh Allen now with his new head coach, Joe Brady, Bleck?
I'm going to buy because he's the best quarterback in football from the past year. And I'm guessing with the same offensive coordinator calling the plays that things are going to stay the same. And we'll see an even better Josh Allen next season.
Ooh, yeah, I think he's still gonna be in the MVP conversation. I know Matthew Stafford is gonna win MVP this year. I'm gonna buy because I think we're gonna be talking about another Josh Allen MVP that I think they're gonna get more weapons for him. I think he's gonna be even better next year. He's gonna be on the redemption tour, all that good stuff. I'm buying Josh Allen as well.
All right. He technically could be with reunited. We don't know yet. Aaron Rodgers. Are you buying or selling on Aaron Rodgers, Abdalla?
I think I'm also going to buy on Aaron Rodgers. I don't see why not. Back with the man that developed him. That's right. Back with the man that started it all for Aaron Rodgers. Why not? Why not? In a very winnable division. Why not? You can win it.
Nickelback still have some bangers in him, Abdalla?
He
Does
does.
Nickelback still have some
Mike
bangers?
McCarthy, you put those stats up against John Harbaugh. You're the greatest coach of all time currently coaching, according to Chris Bleck. John Harbaugh, who everyone had to hire this coaching cycle because God forbid we let John Harbaugh walk. God forbid we do that. He's got the same accolades and the same record as Mike McCarthy, but God forbid we let John Harbaugh walk. I'm buying Aaron Rodgers.
I'm selling. You're ridiculous. It's not going to work, and then B, Rodgers is at the end. There's nothing to he's not going to win a Super Bowl.
Stats last year.
He was okay. They're not going to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
All right, moving along. He's also got a new coach, new offensive coordinator in Mike McDaniel. Are you buying or selling Madison Beers? Boo, Justin Herbert.
I'm buying. Big time buy. Have you guys also seen the loose rumors out there that the Madison Beer Justin Herbert thing is a sham relationship to try and build her profile? Have you seen this?
With him?
I did not think we would get a conspiracy theory out of you, Bleck, after the one Abdalla just threw down. Wow.
Because they're claiming that that's the reason you see them out so much is that they're trying to build her profile. I'm gonna buy though. I could buy that. I think he's a hell of a quarterback, and I think the offensive play calling, as long as they fix the offensive line, I'm buying on Justin Herbert.
I agree with all that. I like Mike McDaniel specifically as an offensive play caller, not running the show. I'm buying that as well.
All right, Abdalla, he was the quarterback of the best opening in the history of the National Football League. Are you buying or selling Cam Ward now with Brian Daboll as his OC?
Yeah, same reason for Justin Herbert. I think Daboll's a great play caller. I think he's an offensive mastermind. I just don't like him running the entire show. And I think that if you prop that up with Salah's defense, that he can spend $100 million on, get some weapons there. They've got a ton of cap space. That's how you prop up a young quarterback. And I think if you can get a guy that can develop him the way, just what he did for Josh Allen, then you can do that with Cam Ward. I am buying Cam Ward.
Absolute buy. I'm with you guys. I can't add anything more to it. I love the situation. I'm going to buy Cam Ward as well. Raj, what's up?
And finally, he now will have a new offensive coordinator after Joe Lombardi was fired yesterday. And we found out his ankle was predisposed to being broken. It wasn't just a fluke thing. So where do we come down? Are we buying or selling Bo Nix?
What does that mean, predisposed? Did you not drink enough milk? What does that mean, predisposed to being broken?
Predisposed ankle. I've never heard that before. I'm buying. I like what I've seen from Bo Nix to this point. I don't think Bo Nix is in the same category as Caleb Williams and Drake May.
Careful.
But I think Bo Nix is going to be a very good quarterback for a very long time for the Denver Broncos. I'm buying.
I agree with you. I'm buying Bo Nix, and it has a lot to do with the experience Bo Nix has coming out of college and also what I think Sean Payton can get out of quarterbacks. And I like what he can do with quarterbacks and developing quarterbacks. I'm buying Bo Nix. I think the Broncos are going to be right back in this position. And honestly, look, if Bo Nix had played in last Sunday's game, they'd be playing in the Super Bowl. So I'm buying Bo Nix. They'll be right back here. As long as they're not losing that much on defense and still can maintain that offensive line, which was the best offensive line in the NFL last year, or this past regular season, then sure, they'll be right back in it.
Stock Watch. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you, fellas. Black, let's talk a little bit more about how much the Bears regret not drafting Drake May, right?
Sure,
All
sure.
right.
Okay, yeah. That's not real. There is no, I guarantee you, 100%, mark this down, nobody in the city of Chicago regrets drafting Caleb Williams over Drake May.
No.
Or vice versa, whatever that is. No one in this city thinks like that. We saw the game last weekend.
Especially Ben Johnson.
Running quarterback. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. I'm just saying, we saw the AFC Championship game. He couldn't throw. I don't care if it snowed or not. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Big news today that the Milwaukee Bucks will listen to trade offers for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I've got a story here about Giannis and his family purchasing real estate in a new city. I will tell you what city that is coming up next.
A new chapter in NFL history begins at Super Bowl 60. Patriots, Seahawks, and we'll be there all next week, live from Media Row in San Francisco, starting Monday on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Big news today in the NBA. Shams Charania saying that the Milwaukee Bucks will listen to trade offers for Giannis Antetokounmpo and that the star wants to be moved by the trade deadline next week or in the offseason. I saw this from Crane Chicago Business. The family office of NBA star Giannis Antetokounmpo has picked up a rental complex in Chicago's uptown neighborhood, purchasing more real estate on the north side of Chicago.
He's going to live in Uptown?
Well, I mean, this is just a rental building, so I don't think Giannis is going to live in the building that he's going to own.
He's going to be a landlord?
I think they own multiple buildings in his real estate portfolio, but with Giannis in the news today and possible locations that Giannis might be able to go to, what if this is a signal, Abdalla? Crane's Business Chicago.
Please do me a favor and get out. Get out right now. One, for suggesting that the Bulls would pull off a move like that.
Well, they're not. They're not.
Historically, have never pulled off any move ever at the deadline. They just don't. And second of all, for assuming that a real estate move would do that. Could you imagine writing out your rent check to Giannis Antetokounmpo? It would just be wild to be like, all right, time to write out my rent check. Who's that for? Giannis on... Giannis
A.
Giannis?
You'd have to look up how to spell his last name every single time.
It's not even that. It's just to be like, he's my landlord? Wow, okay. Hey.
No, it's his family's company.
Dishwasher's broken. Giannis,
yes, yeah, right.
Could you come fix this for me, please?
Now, there's always been like a loose connection with Milwaukee and Chicago where Giannis has said in the past that he likes restaurants in Chicago. The Chicagoland area has a very big Greek community.
Yeah.
And that's something that is obviously intriguing to Giannis and his family as well. He's also a superstar that's been out there suggesting that he's not like a star chaser or a championship chaser, right? Like he did it on his own in Milwaukee. And to think that we're at this point now where Shams is putting out there that Giannis wants to be moved, even though he's not quoted on the record saying he wants to be moved. And he's been quoted in saying the opposite, even though all of the different rumors that have been out there for the last 6 to 8 months suggest that his time in Milwaukee is coming to an end. It is, when you look at the landscape of the NBA, Giannis will be the biggest name moved this trade deadline or in the offseason.
Yeah.
There is no one bigger that is on an expiring deal next season that is of this stature, who's playing in a location that it seems like Milwaukee made their run. And then now, sitting 12th in the Eastern Conference at 18-27, they really don't have any hope of getting any better while keeping Giannis.
Yeah. Here's the problem. You can say he's never been the ring chaser or like LeBron, who's moved from state to state, from team to team to team. But then you start to get up there in age and your legacy starts to set in. And these guys who know that they're the best in the league, Giannis knows these guys are self-aware, right? He knows he's a top 5 player in the NBA, or has been for a very long time. And when you get to that sort of stature for an extended period of time, your legacy sets in. And when you have one, you're compared to the guys with one. So what's better than 1? 2. What's better than 2? 3. What's better than 3? And so on, right? So when you have the one and you're like I'm not saying he's in the twilight of his career. He's 31. He's got a few more decent years, and then you start to decline. And right now he's hurt, so he'll probably come back and play the rest of the season. But you do start to decline, obviously, as you get older. So he's starting to see the end of his career at the end of the tunnel and wants one more, because you can
End
say
of his career. He's 31. What are you doing?
My point is this.
Giannis has at least 10 years left.
Okay, you say that, but then he has a freak injury and then he's just done.
Okay, but that's for every athlete in sport.
I understand.
That's for you and I.
What if
I get hit by a bus walking home today?
Bleck Abdalla.
It's actually a nice ring. That sounds like a nice show.
Saying it.
Sounds like a really good show. Jim Rome coming up next.
I thought
that sounds like a great show.
You see how fast I thought of that? You see how fast I just moved him into the chair?
Raj.
And I'll back you up. What if, though, you guys made the point earlier, Giannis's game is built on athleticism and needing to be able to get to the hoop. Look at Russell Westbrook. Could Giannis evaporate more quickly like Westbrook sort of did because his game is built on athleticism?
Yeah, and I think that is certainly something you could put that into Abdalla's bucket of.
You're welcome, Abdalla.
Point
Thank
that he's
you,
making.
Raj,
No, it makes
co-host.
Sense. No, because like Giannis, like the one thing that we don't know is how a player like that will age. If you look at the height, previous generations, players at that height were usually back to the basket guys that became craftier as they got older.
Yeah.
Akeem Olajuwon, right? Like Akeem, I'm guessing isn't much taller. Wasn't Akeem like 6'11", just about 7 foot? That's what Giannis is listed as 6'11".
Mm-hmm.
A player like that who's super athletic, because if Akeem Olajuwon played in today's NBA, he would not be back to the basket. Akeem Olajuwon would be shooting threes and running up and down the court just like Giannis does. And so when I think about Giannis's game comparatively to individuals that aged well, like the player that aged the best for a big was probably Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
And what could Dirk do? Dirk could shoot lights out, one of the best shooters in league history.
Yeah.
And also he could play with his back to the basket.
Yes.
And I don't think, even when he was a spry chicken, I don't think Dirk Nowitzki was looked at as an athletic big. Right?
Yeah.
Like he was a plotter.
Yeah.
With bad feet, and he just kind of made his way around. He shuffled around the court, but he could shoot.
And how many did Dirk win?
He won one.
Okay, that's my point. And how?
I'm talking about aging well.
I understand that, but Giannis saw how hard it was to win one, and this team has tried very hard to build around Giannis, and he sees that, and it's not working. And when he's not there, look at what this team is. And so it's time for him to move on and find another team, a young star or a team that's already in contention or close to contention, to try another build around Giannis. And I'm not saying he's in the twilight of his career. That's not what I'm saying. But it hasn't worked in one city. It's not like he said, I'm giving you one more year and then I'm moving on. He's given them ample time since Bucks in 6, since that was a thing.
Yeah.
He's given them ample time. And they've tried, and it just hasn't worked. He's been a good soldier. And now I don't blame him at all for wanting to move on and try somewhere else. Because this is a ring culture, and you have to get more than one now. I'm not saying he's not going to make the Hall of Fame or anything like that. He's absolutely going to make the Hall of Fame. but this is a legacy thing, and he wants more than one.
I think there is also something to kind of point to, which is fascinating around the NBA right now and what we've seen in the recent champions. The recent champions, I saw this from Tom Haberstroh. He put this out there on social media. He has a column up on Yahoo about this. The last three champions, the Thunder, the Celtics, and the Nuggets, all three of those teams were built by trading a superstar and rebuilding the roster with draft picks who then guys who turn into stars, right? Like Jokic is one of the best players in the world. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He led Denver to a championship. It was all grown from within. The Boston run that they just went on, those were players that they drafted, Tatum, Brown, and others. In Oklahoma City, the Thunder, defending champs, and what we saw them do last year, that is the epitome of a team that drafted well on a rebuild where they had stars who were guys competing for championships that they saw it wasn't going to work, and they flipped them for first-round draft picks, and they drafted well, and the Thunder seem to be an unbeatable team, right? Like, they're number one in the West again. They're the defending champs. They're the favorite to win the title this year, and I think when you look at the landscape of the NBA right now, the three best teams in the league are all teams comprised of draft picks and young players. Thunder, Spurs, Pistons in the East. The surprise of the league this season, Detroit being number one in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
They were good last year, but to be number one in the East right now. And so when you're looking at all this, maybe, and what Tom Haberstroh points to is maybe Milwaukee trading Giannis is actually the best thing they can do to try and become a championship level team again.
Absolutely. And if you're a Bucks fan, like, this shouldn't be upsetting. You got a championship. It's time to move on too. Like, you should look at what you just laid out and say, okay, look at these other teams. Look at what you could get in return for Giannis. You could start your rebuild and get a bunch of first round picks and start to move on and start the post Giannis era and build a young and up and coming team to start this rebuild.
Coming up next, we will tell you why the New York Giants should be thrilled today. There's a coaching hire, and Giants fans should be thrilled. It's Bleck Abdalla right here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Listening to us on Sirius XM channel 375, noon to 3 Eastern each and every weekday right here on Westwood One Sports. Jim Rome coming up at 3 Eastern. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla live from Chicago. If you want to join the conversation today, you can call us at 310-840-4910. The Cleveland Browns have a new head coach. Todd Monken is the new head coach. The former offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens takes the gig. He's now in charge of the Browns offense, trying to figure out who the next quarterback is going to be for the team. They have a great defense, but the Browns, through this entire process, they've been the team that it seems like it was the strangest way to get to this point. We saw all the stories about what Cleveland was asking of the candidates to become head coach to do to try and get the job. And the Browns settle on Todd Monken, which should make Giants fans very happy today.
I believe so, because he was supposed to be the offensive coordinator for John Harbaugh and for Jackson Dart. And if you look at the way Lamar Jackson was utilized last year, he wasn't healthy for some of the season. He ran the ball 67 times for 349 yards. Now, I understand that they're two different quarterbacks, but what was wrong with Jackson Dart last year?
Lots of concussions.
Actually, he
got hit a lot.
He was hit a lot, actually, Chris.
A lot of concussion protocol for Jackson Dart.
50%.
I would say that would constitute as a lot.
He was in concussion protocol for half of the games that he played.
Quite the protocol.
So, yeah, that's a lot of protocol if you ask me. So, if you're John Harbaugh and you're Jackson Dart, and if you're a Giants fan, I think this is a good thing, because I think that you can find yourself a better offensive coordinator that will look to keep Jackson Dart in the pocket and say to him, you have to change the way that you play. And I know that one of Jackson Dart's strengths is running the football. And one of Lamar Jackson's strengths is running the football. That's why he's been a 2-time MVP, because he's a dual threat quarterback. And that's not something you necessarily want to take away from the player. But when it comes to Jackson Dart, that's something you want to take away from the player, because he can't stay healthy. He doesn't know to not lower his head. He doesn't know to go in head first when going in for a tackle or to try to get a couple extra yards. He doesn't know to slide. He doesn't know to get out of bounds. He's always fighting for those tough yards. Whereas Lamar adjusted and would slide and would run out of bounds and would throw and would do and altered the way that he played and became a much better thrower with Todd Monken.
Sure.
I don't think that Jackson Dart would have adjusted the way that he played necessarily with Todd Monken. I think that this gives John Harbaugh an opportunity to go out there and get someone to develop Jackson Dart into a much better pocket passer, which we've seen at times from him when he did play and stayed healthy for the entire game, that he can be. He can be a threat to run, but I would say he's a much better threat to throw on the move. If you can roll him out to the right, to the left, whatever you're doing, play action, whatever you need to do with him, he's a much better threat when throwing on the move and utilize his legs. Don't take the threat away completely, but utilize that strength and use it sporadically and tell him not to lead with his head. My God, man, 50% of games he was in concussion protocol. That's insane.
His nickname should be Blue Tent. Right? Like how often was Jackson Dart in game on the sideline in the blue tent?
You almost needed two. One for him and then one for every other player that would need to come out of the game because there were too many players in the blue tent.
So Todd Monken takes the job with the Cleveland Browns, and so Abdalla thinks that Giants fans should be thrilled because they don't have to worry about Monken being the offensive coordinator under John Harbaugh in New York. I'd say this. Monken has been around for a long time. He gets the gig now. Age 59, takes the gig. He's been with the Ravens as the offensive coordinator for the last 3 seasons. Before that, he, for 3 years, was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the University of Georgia. And Georgia's been really good for a very long time under Kirby Smart. So the offense that Monken had at Georgia was really good. He excelled. In 2019, he was the offensive coordinator for the Browns. So he's been in Cleveland before. He knows the landscape. Before that point, he was with 3 years with Tampa Bay as the offensive coordinator and the wide receivers coach. And then the stop he had before he got to the NFL in 2016 with the Bucs, he was the head coach at Southern Miss. So, he hasn't had great success as a head coach, but he's been a long-time coordinator, both in college and pro, and he's had a lot of success in those stops as coordinator for the offenses that he's ran. And when you look at the different stats, especially as of late, Baltimore's offense with Monken as the offensive coordinator, they were really good the last couple of years. Last year, in yards per game, they were number 1. Points per game, they were number 1. They were 2 seasons ago, they were 4th and then 6th for yards and points. So really top of the league. This past season, yards for offense, Monken's offense with the Baltimore Ravens was 16th and points 11th. Now, some of that was the fact that Lamar Jackson was in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Based on what Adam was just saying, is that Lamar Jackson, the flaw to his game is staying healthy, staying on the field. And Monken utilized the legs of Lamar Jackson. The problem is you can't do that. Quarterbacks can't make their living running the football. That's why it's such a big deal when you see a young quarterback who can play from the pocket, who uses their legs to pass downfield. That's something that Drake May does.
Yeah.
He's not, objective number 1 isn't to scatter and to run. That's what we've seen from previous quarterbacks that have kind of burned out. Someone like a Justin Fields. Justin Fields, his number 1 attribute is running. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not what Lamar Jackson is, even though he can be a devastating runner with the football. And so Monken's offense, we've seen it be successful in the NFL, Tampa, Cleveland, Baltimore. We've seen it be successful in college at Georgia. Now he gets a crack with an offense in the Cleveland Browns where they don't really have a quarterback. They have a bunch of quarterbacks with a bunch of question marks. Deshaun Watson is still there. Shedeur Sanders was just elected to the Pro Bowl. Abdalla's very excited about that.
All right.
Number one fan for Shedeur Sanders, Adam Abdalla.
All right.
Shedeur Sanders is there. I don't think he can play. Dylan Gabriel, also drafted last year, had an okay season, not to the caliber that Shedeur had, not a Pro Bowl alternate, but he was drafted in the same class. You really don't have an answer at quarterback, and their offense doesn't have a bunch of skilled weapons to go along with the questions at quarterback either. It really is a defensive-led team, and the other piece of information that we have today is that Jim Schwartz, who was up for the job for head coach for the Cleveland Browns, is pulling his name from the D.C. job, and he doesn't want to stick around because he was passed up for Todd Monken to take the job.
And the problem is, with this Browns team, they have the recipe to be a successful team. If I told you that you have a guy like Myles Garrett, you have a great defense that's a championship caliber defense that other teams are afraid to face, that have to scheme against week in and week out. And all you need is a game manager. That's all you need. Have a couple weapons, a good run game, and a game manager. That's all you need. And we've seen teams get to the playoffs, compete in their division, and that's what you can have success and get by on while you're developing a quarterback. That is going to be what the Titans are hoping they can get this year by hiring Robert Saleh and bringing in Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They're hoping that Cam Ward in his second year develops, that with $100 million in cap space, Robert Saleh can go in and spend that money on a defense that will support a quarterback. You looked at Bo Nix in his second year, propped up by the best defense in the NFL, who can grow with Sean Payton. You look at all these at Drake May, who had an MVP caliber season, but also had a great defense who was helping him along the way, that knew if he made mistakes, guess what? If I make a mistake, my great defense is going to bail me out, because that's what a great defense does. That they help young quarterbacks. So the recipe is there. Can Todd Monken get something out of whatever's left of Deshaun Watson if he comes back this season? Because you don't know what you're going to get. He came back and got injured. So can he come back and play a full season? If he doesn't, what are you going to get out of Shedeur Sanders? What are you going to get out of Dylan Gabriel? Can you get something out of this offense? Because you have a good defense. You have Myles Garrett. You have the pieces on defense. What can you get out of this offense to do something with this team to try to compete in this division?
I would also say the last time we saw Deshaun Watson play, he wasn't any good either. So you're right. Like, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get from him when he comes back. But the last time we saw him in 2024, he was average at best. He was not the player he used to be. And for whatever that reason is, he wasn't that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think full context, that's why you have to put it into the idea of like what you thought he was going to be as a player. Not good off the field. Trash off the field.
Mm-hmm.
But as a player, you know, this is the same guy that Dabo Sweeney was quoted heading into the NFL draft that this was Michael Jordan in football cleats.
Yeah.
That player does not exist anymore. Deshaun Watson is not that. The last time he was out there, he was averaging like 170 yards, 1 touchdown, couple interceptions. He can't escape the way he used to, because the early days with Houston, he was doing stuff that was on Mahomes' level. It wasn't the same, but it was pretty close. He ain't that player anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleveland fans, you can't expect that to be anywhere close to that. Like, if he's able to play, you're looking at a player that is mid at best, like maybe the 17th or 18th best quarterback in the NFL. And at that point, you probably should invest in the 2 rookies that you have, Sanders and Gabriel, and figure out whether or not one of those guys can be the long-term answer. I'm guessing that's the way they'll go. Like, I don't see a purpose in going back to Deshaun Watson. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, and if that doesn't work out, then you just cut your losses with all 3 and start over again, and then you're in the.
But that's what the Browns do. They do that better than anyone else.
Then you're in the Arch Manning camp, and listen, if I'm Arch Manning, I stay in school. If the Browns get the number 1 pick, I'm going back and getting that NIL money from Texas, and I just stay another year. You know, I'm not coming out, and I'm staying with Texas for another year because I don't want anything to do with that franchise. Absolutely not.
So far in the coaching cycle, we had 10 jobs open. We have 2 left that are still open. Now that Todd Monken is the head coach for the Browns, you know, we have Stefanski with the Falcons, John Harbaugh with the Giants, Robert Saleh with the Titans, Jesse Minter with the Ravens, Jeff Hafley with the Dolphins. The Steelers hired Mike McCarthy. And yesterday, Joe Brady became the head coach for the Buffalo Bills. That leaves the Cardinals and the Raiders as the 2 jobs open. I said to you 2 weeks ago that I thought that the Ravens, the Bills, and the Raiders had the 3 best jobs open on the market. And my perception was because the Vegas Raiders have the number 1 pick, and we think it's going to be Fernando Mendoza, that's a quarterback right there. You got your quarterback solution.
Mm-hmm.
He may not be the guy that we think compares to past drafts or like the Arch Manning class that you're hoping for next season, but he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Certainly is.
The Raiders' job, I don't really see why it's not a good job. They haven't won, but they've got a stud star player on defense in Max Crosby. They've got some decent players on that team.
Mm-hmm.
You get a quarterback, you get a good coach. I could see that team being somewhat competitive. Or even if you want to flip it and say, Max Crosby, we're going to trade him for draft capital to help build up your squad. I could see that too. I think the Raiders situation is a good situation. Tom Brady is there helping out as a partial owner to try and figure out who they're going to go with the head coach. I'm surprised that job is still open. The Cardinals job, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No, that doesn't surprise me. I think it depends on who you are. I think it depends on the candidate, because if you are Brian Daboll, who took the job with Tennessee.
Yeah, offensive coordinator.
And he was a candidate for the Raiders job. I don't think it's a good job for him, because you get one more shot at this of being a head coach. It didn't work out with the Giants, and we've seen, unless you're Mike McCarthy, that you get 2 shots at this, and that's it. Same with Matt Nagy. And Matt Nagy might end up with this job or with the Cardinals job because he's just desperate to get another head coaching job, or any job for that matter, if you're Matt Nagy. And if you fail with the Raiders, that's it. You're not going to get another job. So it might be better for Brian Daboll to take the offensive coordinator job with Tennessee, be propped up by a great defense that Saleh can build, develop Cam Ward for a couple of years, wait until the right job is open. We saw that with Ben Johnson 2 years ago. He was up for the Commanders job. They were flying to Detroit. He told them to turn around. And then he stayed with Detroit for a year, ended up taking the job in Chicago. So he waited for the right job for him. Now, if you're Clint Kubiak and you've never had a job before, maybe you're waiting for the Super Bowl to be over, and then you're going to take the Raiders job because you just never had a job before. You've never had a head job before. And this is your first bite at the apple, and you've got a number 1 pick. You've got Tom Brady as your, minority owner, and you've got a stud with Max Crosby, or maybe not. Maybe you get a chance to rebuild the franchise from scratch, and you get a couple first-round picks this year and a couple first-round picks next year, and they give you the leeway to do whatever you want to. But for someone who's trying this for the second time, it's not that enticing, because this is it. If you fail at this in 5 years and the Raiders fail at this, then no. This is it for me. I want the right opportunity, because this is it. But if this is a first-time gig, then, yeah, I could see someone like Clint Kubiak waiting and taking this job after the Super Bowl.
Top story, Todd Monken is taking the Cleveland Browns job. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Bill Belichick didn't get into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Did Jordan Hudson set this all up? We'll tell you about that coming up next. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook that's built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And when anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit.
If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. If you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BNA. That's for Bleck and Abdalla. That's code BNA and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus in most states and present in state where it is lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets are non-cash credits that expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer valid until February 8th, 2026.
Bleck and Abdalla are headed to San Francisco. All next week, we're live from the site of Media Row at Super Bowl 60. The NFL is on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
News broke yesterday that Bill Belichick, the 8-time Super Bowl winning coach, will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That happened yesterday. It's crazy. It's insane. Abdalla, tell me how this happened.
Okay. So,
How is Bill Belichick not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
well, look, it might be the most egregious thing that's happened in Hall of Fame voting history
Wow. Ever?
ever.
There's a lot of good names that have been left out.
Yeah. And like Mariano Rivera not being a unanimous vote just because someone said you can't be a unanimous Hall of Fame and get 100% of the votes. Like that's up there. This is ridiculous. He has the most Super Bowl wins, the most conference championships. He has 8 rings, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a coordinator. Like this is insane.
Just so you know, Rivera's the only one.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah. I know.
100% of the vote. Rivera's the only one.
I
that
know.
got in.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But Ichiro's
the one that
Ichiro-
didn't. Ichiro's the one that
out
didn't
of
get
the
it. Yes.
394
Yes.
votes,
Ichiro's the one. My
he
mistake.
only got 393.
My mistake.
Yeah.
Ichiro's the one. My
Mariano
mistake.
Rivera
Yes.
is the only
Yes.
one that got 100%
Yes.
of the baseball writer votes
Yes.
to get into the Hall of Fame.
That was my mistake.
Ichiro
Yes.
had 99.7%.
Which, again, insane, right?
Derek Jeter, 99.7. He had 396 out of 397 votes.
Again, insane.
One idiot.
Yes, this is more egregious than that. This is more egregious. And the real reason is because 11 people felt slighted because they were, one, treated poorly by Bill Belichick during his tenure as Patriots head coach, and he was a curmudgeon and did the "we're on to Cincinnati" and didn't answer their questions or was mean to them in the media. And 2, because Bill Polian, who used to be in charge of the Colts and the Bills and all that kind of stuff, who was in the Hall of Fame himself and is a very well-respected football man, convinced the room of voters that Bill Belichick needed to pay his penance and needed to have tomatoes thrown at him for 1 year because of Spygate and Deflategate. Because when
tomatoes at him.
that's basically what it is.
What is he, a stand-up comic?
Well, that's what it is. He's in that. He's in the thing with in the medieval times where you had to stand, you put your arms in and your head in, and they put the. What is that thing
I thought
called?
you were talking about like when the crowd boos a comic and
That
they're like,
too.
"Get off the stage!"
That too. That's all this is.
And the big
because,
hook comes from the side
and
and
you know
pulls him
why?
off.
Because Bill Polian was in charge of those Colts teams when Bill Belichick was beating their ass. That's what it is.
Can Bill Polian just go away?
Bill Polian is now a part of 3 of the worst things that I can think of
That's it. These are the 3 worst things you can think of.
That happened to me. That I can think of. The football things, right?
Oh, football things.
Football things.
I thought you were saying like in the world.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
my
no.
God,
Come on.
Abdalla.
We're talking football.
What are you talking
We're on a
about?
sports station here. We're on Westwood One. We're talking.
Tell me about
things.
Bill Polian. What are the
Bill
3
Polian.
things that grind your gears with Bill Polian?
Number 1 is that he is the guy that said in the draft process that Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver and not a quarterback. Lamar Jackson now has 2 MVPs. And now listen, Bill Polian, like I said, very well. He's in the Hall of Fame. He is a part of those Bills organizations that made it to a ton of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And he's a part of the Colts organizations that won a Super Bowl, all that stuff, right? Said during the draft process that Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver. Okay. When the Bears were looking for a head coach, now this hits near and dear to you and my heart because we are broadcasting out of the city of Chicago. You and I are Bears fans. When the Bears were looking for a head coach, they hired Bill Polian to assist them in their search.
Yeah, I mean, I think the background for people to understand is that the Chicago Bears organization for most of our lives have been run as a mom and pop shop.
And they needed help.
And they needed help from an outside third party. And that person was Bill Polian.
Yeah.
So they brought Bill Polian in for a lunch.
Yeah.
They brought him in. He got a dinner, a lunch, and a free flight.
Yeah.
And he told them who to hire.
Yeah.
And so they hired who he told them to hire.
And apparently the only area code in his phone is 317. So he called up Indianapolis.
Yep.
And went with Matt Eberflus, who was going to get fired, the reports was going to get fired as the defensive coordinator of the Colts if he didn't get a head coaching job. And so the Bears hired him as their head coach, which led them to do something the Bears had never done in the history of their franchise, fire a head coach mid-season. That was Matt Eberflus.
All right.
And now this.
Okay.
He convinced a few voters that Bill Belichick.
Do we have that on the record that that's what he did? I don't think that that's confirmed what Bill Polian did, is that he convinced people not to vote for Belichick. Is that out there? That's confirmed?
People asked him.
Well, he seems like a confused individual.
Okay.
Because yesterday he gave quotes to 2 separate entities.
Yeah.
Disagreeing with his own quote, saying whether or not he voted for or if he did not vote for Belichick.
Okay.
I think we're all guessing that he's the ringleader trying to lead the cause against Belichick getting in on the first ballot.
Ask me whether or not I did something. Just ask me if I robbed a bank. Ask me if I robbed a bank.
Did you rob a bank?
I don't remember.
That's what Bill Polian essentially did last night.
Would you think that I robbed the bank?
In the quotes that he gave.
Would you think that I robbed the bank if I was a suspect in robbing the bank?
We got you on camera.
Okay.
You were there.
Okay.
You were like an old-timey crook. You shot bullet holes into the side of the building that said Abdalla was here.
I had the stripes on and I had the everything.
Like you're in the John Dillinger era, right?
Yeah.
From back in the day.
Absolutely. So if you ask someone who's accused of doing this and their response is,
I want you all to remember, I'm Adam Abdalla and I'm here to rob this bank.
His response is, I don't remember how I voted.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's just go away. And I get that the older generation gets the votes so they can participate in this, but it is just questionable. You can't look at it, and with all of the different players who played for Belichick, all the different people in the league questioning how he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, it's just crazy to me. And when you get Tom Brady coming out, someone who has had friction with Bill Belichick in the past, in the recent history, putting out a statement saying that Bill Belichick should be a first ballot Hall of Famer and giving him credit for parts of his career, I don't understand how you can do it outside of spite because you're upset for Spygate, Deflategate, the fact that he's not the nicest individual to those in the media. That's essentially it. If you watch football, if you pay attention to stats, if you do any of this, you look at it and you see that Bill Belichick is the best coach you've ever seen in the National Football League. First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Yes, absolutely. Now, there's another reason that Bill Belichick might not be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Really? Why don't you tell us about that? But first, sponsored by Robinhood, it's Bleck Abdalla. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. What else is there? What am I missing here?
The more I think about this situation, the more I've convinced myself of this tinfoil hat theory that I've come up with.
Okay.
I believe a lot of conspiracies. You know this about me. You and I have been friends for 20 years.
Yeah, you know what they say about people that
years.
believe in conspiracy theories.
We've been friends since high school. We know I believe in a lot of weird conspiracy theories. Bill Belichick has become under the influence of a woman named Jordan Hudson. She calls herself Jordan. It's spelled it looks like Jordan. She pronounces it Jordan.
Jordan.
She is now running his life, this production company. He's now the head coach of North Carolina, and it's not going well. And his reputation has taken quite the hit. Right?
Sure.
The way we think about Bill Belichick up until about 4:45 p.m. Yesterday changed. Right? Everybody thought, oh, Bill's being taken advantage of.
Poor guy.
Poor
old guy.
Bill's ruined North Carolina. I mean,
we've seen the videos. Remember the video last year of the two of them leaving a North Carolina basketball game? And he has the winter coat on and he's like shuffling out.
Yeah.
And she's walking ahead of him.
How about the video?
It doesn't look right.
How about the picture of him holding her up on his feet at the beach? What are we doing here? So his reputation.
They're in love.
His reputation.
They're in love, Abdalla.
Has taken quite the hit. All right.
They are in love.
Nobody is thinking of Bill Belichick the way that we used to think of Bill Belichick, as like the top football guy ever. Now, if this comes out this year that Bill Belichick makes the Hall of Fame as the first ballot Hall of Famer, nobody thinks anything of it. Oh, yeah, of course he is. Congrats, Bill. Good job. Great effort. But, Chris.
Yeah.
You and I are now talking about this. It's on TV behind you right now. It's been the lead of every hour of SportsCenter. It started every show on TV.
Okay.
Every station around the country is talking about it. It's the topic of on everybody's mind.
Oh.
It had Twitter, a Twitter yesterday. I don't know what they call it. Everybody was talking about it yesterday.
Twitter, a buzz. There was a buzz.
There was a buzz.
Yes.
There was a shake at the stick.
Sure.
Okay. What if Jordan Hudson, behind the scenes, was rallying the votes, was whipping the votes, as they say in Washington?
What? She's conspiring against her boo?
Not conspiring against him. What if she convinced him that said, hey, what if we got people to talk about you in a positive light again?
Back on your side.
Back on your side.
Back on your side. A redemption arc.
If you weren't,
Bill,
you're going to get in the Hall of Fame. Don't worry, Bill. Trust me. You're going to be a second ballot Hall of Famer. You're not your bust is going to be in there. Trust me. But if we got people to talk about you, and next week is the Super Bowl, you don't think every former Patriot isn't going to be asked about this? You and I
we're going to be in San Francisco next week, and we're going to be talking to former Patriots. We're going to have to ask about Belichick.
Every single player is going to be asked about this.
Every former player we talk to next week.
She didn't whip up a few votes and say, hey, why don't we find out who's on this committee? Why don't we plant a little bug in Bill Polian's ear and say,
you think she's talking to Polian?
I think she's talking to somebody.
You think her and Polian are talking?
And he goes, what about my legacy? And she goes, hey, you're still going to get in. This is good for your legacy.
What about my legacy?
This is actually good for your legacy, because this is what happens. We talk about this now. This is better for you because no one is talking about North Carolina football anymore. That's an afterthought. Now we're talking about the 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. We're talking about the most conference championships. We're talking about the most wins, most playoff wins as a head coach. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about North Carolina. We're not talking about that anymore. We're not talking about, I'm the only one talking about Jordan Hudson.
Yeah, I know. You're quite
me.
obsessed with this take
It's just
from today.
me because I'm right.
Well, I think it's funny that you think that she and him, that they've conspired to be like, essentially, this is what Bravo celebrities do. Like when you've fallen off on one of those housewives shows on Bravo, like the way to get back in is like you do something crazy, or you like have something not work out, and then that's how you get back in to being in like Andy Cohen's good graces.
Oh yeah,
in the Bravo landscape.
Yeah.
I only know this.
Not
I'm
talking
not
about
watching.
this.
I only know
there
it
she is.
because my wife watches.
There's
And
Jordan.
through osmosis, I see a lot of it in the house. It's
Not
on
talking
all the
about
time.
this.
There's
See,
Jordan.
she's you.
We-
So you think
we
that
are gonna
she
get a-
connected with Polian?
Somebody,
And
some voters,
Polian answered his phone, his dial-up connection,
his rotary.
and she on the other end was like, "Hey, we need to get people to vote against.
We got to whip the votes.
whip the votes.
We got to whip up the votes. And I'm
Let's
telling
work
you,
on his image. Let's get a glow up for Bill.
I'm telling you, Pablo Torre is going to find out about this.
Not
Okay.
talking about this.
We're going to get an audio recording of this. I'm telling you,
of the conversation between Jordan and Bill Polian.
allegedly. Got to say allegedly.
No, I know it's
Allegedly.
I'm just,
This is my tinfoil hat.
it's quite the thought. It's quite the thought. I don't know.
If
it's a
Abdalla's
thought.
tinfoil hat theory is correct, though, it was very effective. Like,
Isn't it,
everybody
though?
is pro Bill today now.
Yeah,
Belichick's
Raj, you're
loved
right.
again.
And all next week, because this is going to be the topic of conversation.
It will.
Next week, especially with the because we're talking about the Patriots in the Super Bowl next week. But guess what? The topic is going to be at the Super Bowl next week: the Patriots and Bill Belichick.
It absolutely will. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. If you want to join the conversation, you can call us at 310-840-4910. Shams
Not talking
Charania
about
earlier today. Whoop,
Can't get rid of Jordan.
Jordan?
Still there.
She's always there, lurking
Not talking
behind
about
the
this.
scenes. She's not interested in us talking about this. The Bucks are listening to offers for Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll talk about that next.
Super Bowl 60 is set. Patriots, Seahawks. Keep listening for all the inside information you need to know on your home for the NFL, Westwood One Sports, and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Bleck Abdalla, Westwood One Sports. Until 3 Eastern, Jim Rome will take over in 15 minutes right here on Westwood One Sports. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla. Make sure you check out the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Odyssey. Also, you can check us out on YouTube, the Bleck Abdalla YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to Bleck Abdalla Show on YouTube. Broadcasting live right now, the program on YouTube. How about that?
Hi, everybody.
Shout outs. We got it up and running. So like and subscribe, Bleck Abdalla Show on YouTube each and every weekday, noon to 3 Eastern, right here on Westwood One Sports. Thank you to Raj and Laura for producing today's show, Bleck Abdalla. We'll be back tomorrow, noon to 3, right here on Westwood One Sports. So, Abdalla, the news from earlier today in the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. So, Shams Charania is reporting that two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. Several teams have made aggressive offers to the Milwaukee Bucks. We're starting to listen. League sources tell ESPN on Wednesday. Shams also goes on to say multiple teams have received a sense that the Bucks are more open than ever to a Giannis offer between now and the deadline, league sources say. However, Milwaukee has indicated to interested teams that the organization is in no rush to complete a move and is willing to navigate Giannis's future in the offseason if the believed price point of a blue chip young player and or surplus of draft picks is not met, sources have told ESPN. So that sets up next week, the trade deadline, February 5th, and this summer before the NBA draft as possibilities for Giannis to be on the move, which the news today coming out is a bit surprising because there's been a back and forth, a bit of a source off suggesting whether or not Giannis really wants out of Milwaukee. He's told on the record people that stuff's not true, that he wants to leave, but we continue to hear rumors that he would prefer to play for the Knicks. That was something that was out there last summer. And to see where Milwaukee's at, 12th in the conference, really no hope of contending for a championship in the short term, I think trading Giannis Antetokounmpo is the only play for the Milwaukee Bucks to do it now before we get to next season where he will be on an expiring contract
Mhm.
and he will absolutely leave without you getting back anything. The key here is Milwaukee needs to deal him to get back stuff to try and rebuild the team. So hopefully they can compete in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that this news comes out today with a week to spare before the trade deadline. Giannis is obviously hurt.
You throw a little chum in the water, right?
Yeah,
is that what they say in the fishing world?
Yeah, you see what comes out there. So I think that obviously they might get a better offer if they wait until the summer, because then where teams are stacked up. You've got draft picks available, all that. But if a team that thinks they can make a run at a championship this year wants to make an offer, obviously you're not trying to get him for a rental. You would like to sign him for an extension and all that kind of stuff. You make an offer now, because why would you? He's not getting any younger. I'm not saying he's old. He's 31, not old by any means, but every year he's getting older. So why waste any Giannis time if you can? If you think you can win this year, if you think you're a legitimate contender or you're a Giannis away and you don't have to give up too many current stars on your team to win a championship this year, why not make the move right now before the deadline and take a run at a championship right now?
Well, like who are those teams that are close to winning where making a move for Giannis actually puts you over the top? And I think what's difficult about it is I've seen this season a loose rumor suggesting that maybe the Thunder should look at what they have with all of their young talent and send some of that to Milwaukee to bring back Giannis to pair with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And at that point, you're now talking about, quote, super teams. And I think we've gotten to a point in the NBA where we realize super teams don't work. It's just not, it's a passe thing. To win now in the NBA, you want young, talented players coming up together that gives you the best window, right? Or being able to maximize putting pieces around one of the best players in the league. Like Denver has done that well. And I know that there's been some looking at the Nuggets in the last couple of off seasons and suggesting that they could do more. But what they've done well is place role or starter level guys who are not necessarily stars around Jokic to then get the most maximized out of the team. And I think that's when you're looking at these different spots, in the West, two young teams sit at the top of the conference, Thunder and Spurs. You look at the other teams, the Nuggets, I don't see a move there. The Rockets, they made their move in the offseason for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So that's not happening.
No.
The Lakers made their move last year for Luka. So Luka and LeBron. The Suns just got through that super team effort and it didn't work. They saw it burn out. So they're not probably going to be interested in this. Minnesota, I don't really see something there. It's like Golden State, but Golden State, the money would work because they have big contracts, but Jimmy Butler's out for the year. So you're not going to deal Giannis for Butler's contract and
no.
It's not going to work. And then if you look at the East, I think two teams to keep an eye on would be Cleveland and Philly. Philly's always active, and Cleveland has had a bit of a disappointing year comparatively to last season, being fifth in the conference right now at 28-20. But I don't know if they have stuff to get it done. Miami and Orlando are always fascinating. Miami, Orlando, and the Knicks. And like you said to me earlier, I just almost listed off half the league.
You did. Of contending teams. Obviously, you're not going to go to a non-contending team that would make this move unless you're waiting until the summer. In the summer, you're talking about teams with draft picks. You're talking about teams that are at the top of the draft. You're talking about, teams that are vying for the number 1, number 2, number 3 pick. That's fine. But, the Knicks, you have to almost give up a bunch of your players, and then you're basically the Bucks at that point. You're Giannis and a bunch of nothing.
And I think that's the thing to kind of keep your eye on, is that Giannis, for being a top 10 player or a top 5 player in the NBA or in the world, is flawed. He is easily defendable in a 7-game series.
So you need more than just Giannis.
You need more than Giannis.
Yeah.
And the Bucks would tell you that. They needed more than Giannis to win a championship.
Yeah.
And they had to pull off big-time moves to put Drew Holiday with what they had around with Middleton and Giannis. And they even had Lopez, who in most situations wouldn't have been available. Yet they had a 7-footer shooting threes who could play good defense alongside Giannis. So and that's where it's tough to see where this is going to go, but it's definitely something we're going to have to keep our eyes on as we head into next week with the NBA trade deadline on February the 5th. I saw this story earlier today. Scotty Scheffler doubter loses insane bet, will only eat Wendy's chili for a month. You see this?
Yeah.
That this guy on social media said that Scotty Scheffler was not winning the tournament they just played in. When he starts that hot in a tournament, he tweeted, "I guarantee he will not win." And then he followed it up by saying, "If Scotty Scheffler wins this week, I will only eat Wendy's chili for a month. It's not happening, folks. Zero chance." Well, guess what happened over the weekend? Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world, won the tournament. The world number one player won. And now this guy from New York is going to eat Wendy's chili for the next month.
First of all, why would you doubt Scotty Scheffler? He's the best golfer in the world. Like, the dude even gets arrested, gets out of jail, comes out. I'm not saying he wins, but he still performs well in a tournament when he comes out of jail. Like, what are we doing here? You don't doubt Scotty Scheffler. Second of all, chili for a month? Dude, I feel bad.
Wendy's chili's good, though.
It's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Wendy's chili.
It's Wendy's chili is really tasty.
Every meal for a month.
And only the chili.
And only the chili.
You can't put crackers in it.
No.
How do you have chili without putting the crackers in it?
Only chili for a month is a problem, regardless of restaurant, brand, variety, crackers, cheese, onions. I don't care. Chili for a month straight is a problem.
Is there something you could eat for an entire month?
I thought
like
about
that?
this. I was reading this and I was thinking about fast food things. And the last fast food item that I had, I think I could the Taco Bell quesadilla.
Okay,
I could eat the Taco Bell quesadilla for a month.
Hard shell tacos from Taco Bell, I could do that too. I for some reason, like, we're both on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Like we could throw down on T-Bell for an entire month.
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
totally see it. This guy's eating chili for the next month.
No,
it's insane. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Jim Rome is next.
This is Westwood One Sports.